come telling us bullshit about how bad the quality is and the videos and the voice stuff, dude. There's no PSL games playing. There's no EPL. There's no La Liga. There's no Champions League. You got nothing but us. So suck it off. What's up?
On this thing, on kind of getting this betting Betway, there was some Belarus league going on. I'm not quite sure which league, but I saw there's some games in some leagues that you guys don't discuss.
Those are farmers leagues.
Games and
yeah.
I mean, Spain. I mean, La Liga is already lucky that we're speaking about it, so we don't want to add more farmers leagues.
Yeah, no, exactly.
No, all I'm saying is that if you're betting on the Belarusian league, you got a gambling problem.
No, for sure he does. No, he does. He does.
It's not even about football anymore.
I know.
It's not about football.
Nope.
Just to bet. Just to make a bet there. Okay, guys. So let's get to it, man. So obviously this is Couch Pundies. We're staying at home. We're staying safe. Yeah. So we decided that we're gonna do a show, just to talk about all the stuff that's been obviously circulating, about the leagues, whether they should be suspended, whether they should be, carry on, play behind closed doors, actually, written off for the season. So yeah, what do you guys think?
Cancel the whole
Let's
thing.
start with let's start with, first of all, let's break it down. There's a lot of topics. So first of all, the big one is, should, whenever this thing comes, we're already in, well, it's the end of April, guys. After April is May. This is when the seasons were going to end officially. So now you've got a whole lot of...
My connection is
EPL
bad,
games
Jen,
still
so...
left. Whose connection? So you'll catch on, bro. So first of all, should the league, if let's say by 1st of May, Corona is finished, should the leagues come back and should they start from where they left off or whatever?
Firstly, that's never going to happen. Secondly, if, let's say hypothetically, on the 1st of May, coronavirus decides, you know what, I'm going to go visit Mars or whatever, the league can go on if it ends there, but they're going to have to obviously find a way, you know what I mean? Find a way to push the next season back. Do you understand what I'm saying? And obviously some cups would have to be sacrificed. Like in England, I think the community, the what's that? The Carabao Cup would have to be scrapped.
Yeah.
That's just, it just is what it is. All those other, all those other, they're going to have to be scrapped. But we all know that coronavirus is not going away, bro. Like, it's not going away anytime soon. So my question is that hypothetically, worst case scenario, if they do decide to carry on, when will the matches play?
Okay, that's a good question, because even like this camp that they're trying to do and have all the players at one particular place where they'll have their own sessions and gymming and everything, it still doesn't give me the satisfaction how it'll give the same standard the other league. Now for now, even if it's done Cabo July or August, somewhere there before the second season 2020 and 2021 comes into play, for me it doesn't make sense to go back to the league. Standard number one. Number two, it won't be the same without the fans. It's not a game without the fans. You can't have the last closing game league. It would be unfair to Liverpool to win the league like that. So rather not give it to them. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I like what you said, to say that the standard will be low. Né? The other question is, which other team is willing to risk their players? We all know most of them, they're not keeping fit, and those who are trying to keep fit, it's not usually the standard the usual gymming sessions that they go through. I mean, having to play 90 minutes and also compared to having a gym session at home, it's not the same thing. So which team will be willing to risk their celebrity, listen to me, I'm saying celebrity, but then their star players for of injuries and stuff?
Yeah, because they're gonna get injured coming back. You're not gonna play 90 minutes after doing the only player, Brad, who can come back and play a full 90 minutes after this is probably Cristiano Ronaldo.
I knew it.
He's great. Yeah, what do we?
I knew it.
The guy's got a soccer pitch in his backyard, bro. An entire soccer pitch in his backyard.
So it wouldn't make any sense. But you know what? I won't lie, guys. I'm craving football so much. I wouldn't care if the games play under lockdown so what. Football's not the same unless it's live, yo.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it's a frustration situation, but I don't think there's anything that can be done right now. There is no safe bet for this thing, because even if they say, okay, players need to play behind closed doors, now you're gonna have to compress all those games into a short period of time.
Yeah.
And these guys haven't been playing. You can work out all you want at home, but if you haven't been playing, match fit. That's why we have preseason every season, so that players can, start building momentum, start being able to play the 90 minutes. And this is crunch time. Teams don't have the luxury of building momentum. Do you understand? Now, people are trying to qualify for Champions League. Titles want to be won, this and that. So there is no time for, we'll build them up the first 3 matches or something. So it's a very difficult situation. I'm just saying, scrap the damn thing, bro. Take it, throw it in the bin, and we keep it moving.
I fully agree, because it's not just about the primary, the Premier Leagues. It's also about the lower leagues, because then you're thinking of relegation. The 3 teams or teams that got relegated to I don't think I'd want, if I was at relegation, I'd say scrap the whole league and let's start over again. And the ones only lower league, I feel sorry for them, because imagine having that momentum and only Jomo Cosmo see, the League One, and then having to almost win the league, and then they say we're scrapping the whole thing. Now you have to start it. It's sad for Liverpool, but let's also think about the lower teams that are also impacted. That's why scrapping it makes perfect sense, rather than putting the pressure on the players, getting people injured, and then lastly, just being unfair to other teams. Even though my team, I'm not wearing the shirt. I asked Pundies for my first appearance. This is embarrassing, but as an Arsenal fan, I needed something.
I think that's more embarrassing than you not wearing the shirt.
And then, funny enough,
but also, hey,
now I was saying,
but also
Arsenal. Okay, go Kaya. Okay. I was saying, plus Arsenal it's actually outside the Europa League, and then also we are also outside the competition as well. So scrapping the league, it makes sense. That's why it's Tepper saying scrap. And already there was an announcement from the Arsenal board saying that should team not qualify for UEFA, not even Europa, UEFA, they're cutting down the salaries. And then the Arsenal fans the Arsenal players were saying, we're not having it. But actually, at the end of the day, they took the 12.5 salary cut.
Yeah. But for me, guys, I don't wanna lie. I know everybody's thinking about Liverpool. This is unfair on Liverpool or whatnot. But I'm gonna say what I keep saying every day. And I remember before this whole thing happened, when we spoke to Pomotang, he was busy telling us that they're gonna sue UEFA if they don't win the.
That was stupid.
But for me, this is a fact: is that Corona is a pandemic. It's a pandemic. Nobody planned it. It's unfortunate, guys. If you wanna care about not winning a league because of a freaking pandemic where people have died, then you are a small team, real small team mentality. This thing should just be scrapped. Nobody should care whose feelings get hurt. And at the end of the day, we start come August, we start again a brand new league. If you're good enough to win it this year, you can win it next year.
Exactly.
I don't know what's UEFA's problem and everybody's issue. This thing should just be scrapped and we come back fresh.
I agree.
That's my honest opinion.
What the hell was that, Trevor?
Basically, what I just sent you guys is that Liverpool are dominating or dominated a non-existent season, basically.
But
Should we
remember
cancel this out?
Before this whole Corona thing became serious, even they asked the Liverpool coach, Jorge, what do you think of Corona? And he was like, you know what, there's more important people that are well clued up at this thing that could actually give better comments. I'm just a football coach, and football is really not that. I don't remember his exact words, but
yeah, I
it's
remember
not that.
He says it's not a priority right now.
Right now, exactly. Right now, it feels like I was watching some Marvel Olympics that Trevor hooked me up on YouTube, and then I realized I really miss football, and I really miss the Pundies updates, and just those little things. But right now, it's a priority. But back then, like he was serious. Human life is more important than football. So whether you win the league or not, and Rona, as Arsenal fans, what if you don't qualify? What the UEFA, dude? Really? That was like, if you don't win the league, you're not you. But one they just they could have just said we're gonna give you pay cuts. Whether anyway,
no,
sorry.
taking it back to what Kaya also mentioned about Khomozang saying that Liverpool are going to sue UEFA or whoever. Yeah. My question would now be: would it be fair or unfair for the guys that are controlling the networks, the TV, the news or the sponsorships basically of the EPL or whatever league? Would it be fair or unfair for them to start now looking to recoup some of the money that they actually paid for the full season, or go through the legal route as well? Would that be fair or unfair on the Premier Leagues and their clubs?
Listen, with that being said, listen, if there is no winner of the league that year, remember that no money is paid out. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know the 100 million that they get for winning the league and all the other for third, for whatever. There's no money paid out. So that money should be taken. You know what I mean? Because obviously that's generally the money from the sponsors. Do you understand? From the broadcasting people, blah 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 blah. So it needs to be paid back. Whatever amount that needs to be obviously what's the accounting word? Whatever amount that needs to be taken out, based on obviously how far the season went, it needs to be paid back. Because in all honesty, they still made the money off advertising rights. They still made the money off all those things while the league was playing. Do you understand? It's not like they didn't make money. They were making money. So they should give them whatever's left for whatever portion of the season that's left from all the money. They should give that back. That should be given back. But in all total, they broadcasters and whatnot and sponsors cannot sit there and say that, you know what, because the season was not complete, we didn't make any money. Because literally what happens is that they have to go through the entire season where the money is actually used for broadcasting and whatnot, and they got those rights. We were watching the Champions League for that time. So there is no money to be paid back. It doesn't make sense because now you want that pay, like we're gonna erase. You can't erase us watching what we've already watched it. You guys got the ratings. You guys got the money. Unfortunately, it just is what it is.
Spoken like a true.
To add on top of that, né? That money was going to be for no, it's like the money was going to be paid for the semi-finals, for the quarterfinals. We didn't watch that stuff, so it's like us, dude. We're not going to work. We're not paying for petrol. It's like people complaining, "Hey, I'm buying so much on groceries," but you're not pouring petrol to go to work, so it substitutes the other. You didn't pay for the other game, so if you didn't waste that money. That money was not spent. So why do you want to recoup? Like, there's nothing to recoup. And another thing, talking about money, guys, this thing of having players cut on 70% of their salaries and whatnot to save the clubs and whatnot. What happened to the millions? I mean, Barcelona had these guys cut on 70% of their salaries. They made 500 million euros last year. What happened to that money?
I think let me jump on to Trevor's question and then go back to Kai's last question. For that, I agree with Shushu, the sponsors. You know what? When you do a marketing contract, the sponsorship contract, you know how you have to plan for the foreseeable future. Should something happen and we do not get broadcast rights, this will come into play. So these things they have to have thought of, and they're not getting their money back. The logo was out there, we saw it, and so I'm not going to say other words, saying they're not getting their money back. And then as for the players, I think agreed Leaky they get their money every month or whatever. And these couple of months that they haven't played, I don't think they get it upfront. So their financials, literally, they took a knock. But at the end of the day, I think it's just said that a player needs to get cut 70% of their salary. Even if you make $1 million and they take 700,000, it's still a lot of money. It's like, I don't know, 10,000, 7,000. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's quite sad because their lifestyles have also been accustomed to getting that much money. And I think at the end of the day, let's look at it scale, economies of scale. I don't know, 10,000 and they take 7,000, it's a lot of money. If you get $1 million and they take 700,000, you're left with 300,000. At that time, you were giving sponsorship to schools like Mani and them, and you were doing all these things. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't know what's happening to
that's why Mane has to come to Madrid. We ain't giving no pay cuts on father. You're not gonna be on government phone laws or whatever, don't come to Madrid. You can still pay for the schools, you can still pay for the hospitals. Corona, no corona.
Bro, that guy's doing so much with 100,000 a month. Bro. I Liverpool. 100K a month. That guy has to go through so much. Imagine 100K. Like, bro, you get players that haven't played the whole season at United that get more than that. Guy's been sitting on the bench since. He gets one. That guy's busy running his heart out, bro. Winning games for these guys, and they give him 100K. It's so like players who go to. You see, all the players that go to Liverpool, bro, I don't know what the hell's going on with them. Like, it doesn't make sense, bro. First of all, none of this generation of player grew up saying that they want to play for Liverpool. It doesn't make sense. So it's not a dream. First of all, it's not a dream. Secondly, you're not even getting paid to play there. So why go there? It doesn't make sense, bro. Like, it honestly doesn't make sense.
Going back to what Kaya and to Kaya's question about the salary cuts is that some will definitely agree to the salary cuts once the pandemic is over, and then they say transfer market is open. Watch these teams that were saying we don't have enough money, therefore we're cutting our staff, blah blah blah, and so forth. Watch them buy $70 million or £70 million worth of players, but forgetting or choosing to ignore the fact that they said we didn't have money to pay our staff, but they have money to go and spend in the transfer season. That's a big issue for me.
Yeah. So talking about the transfer issue, I've got a theory that because of what COVID-19 did, I think it's going to bring back the transfer season back to normality. Yes. These 100 million players for Harry Kane.
Kane for 200.
Dude, like, no, I think it has to go back.
What rubbish? But what rubbish is that? Like, I feel like the EPL inflates the market so damn much. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, bro. Nobody should be paying 200 million for Harry Kane. Like, Harry Kane is a good player, but 200 million is absurd. It's crazy. You can't pay 200 million for a guy who's injured half the damn season. He's always injured. Look at Spurs. Spurs were drowning right now. Spurs are like, thank goodness coronavirus. You know what I mean? Because they were drowning. And why? Because they star players always injured, and you want people to pay 200 million for. And I saw some idiot saying that Man United need Harry Kane more than Jadon Sancho. You're talking crap. Harry Kane must just stay there at Spurs. What is he gonna do? He's always injured, bro. Harry Kane had a chance to leave and go to Madrid. He decided not to go. He must just stay there.
I like the fact that Shush is weighing in on this one because Spurs actually and Harry Kane agent offered Harry Kane to Man United and said, here's Harry Kane, don't you want to buy him? 200 mil on the table, take it or leave it. He wasn't offered to Real Madrid or Barcelona, just Man United as the club.
They're exploiting us, bro. They know that. So they want to exploit
back
us.
to that great.
And Shush, Shush, what's your thought on Ed Woodward weighing in on the current squad, saying that there won't be enough cash to get new players. So what's your coach's name?
Ole.
Ole has to now take Alexis Sanchez and find a way to, put him in the squad. He's not going out for a loan. He's not going out for he's not transfer listed. So he has to find a place for Sanchez. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is that Sanchez is a quality player. We know he is a quality player. He's just he had an unfortunate spell at Man United. But my thing is if that side you can manage to keep Paul Pogba, have Bruno Fernandes, have Scott McTominay, have keep Matic in the side, keep Juan Mata in the side. Do you understand? Daniel James, you probably he will get better over time. If they're able to find a way to transition from us being a two, because most of the season we've been being a 2-player team all the time. There's always 2 players that have to carry the team. So if you have all those players and those players actually play to their full potential, and Sanchez has a good season, but the problem is that I think Sanchez also doesn't want to be at Man United. So it's another problem. He doesn't want to be there because his form took a great dive. But if we're building towards the future, you need to buy players. You need to build a player. You need to build a team full of young talent, and that's something that Ole has done very well. You understand? He's managed to take out all the old players, and Sanchez is one of those players that us as Man United fans, I don't think Sanchez is a bad player, but I don't think he has a place in Man United. Do you understand? I would never. I won't on a day-to-day or on a week-to-week basis bench Daniel James and put Sanchez on. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's a problem because the guy's getting paid 400 million. You can't say that you need to keep a player that's getting paid 400 million and say that because you don't have money. That does not make sense. Doesn't make any sense. Edward is talking rubbish. That's why he's been removed as the guy who's in charge of acquiring the players. He's still in charge of negotiating the deals, but he can't. He doesn't have a decision anymore on which players come on and which players come off. So it's a stupid statement. So if Sanchez wants to stay at Man United and he is willing to understand, he's willing to take a pay cut. First of all, if he's not willing to take a pay cut, offload him. There's teams that actually need Sanchez. I don't think Man United needs Sanchez. We don't need Sanchez. We tried, it didn't work out. But a player that we do need is Jadon Sancho. We need a player like that who can run in from the right, because our right part, as good as Daniel James is, he's not consistent. So he goes in, he goes up, you know what I mean? And so he's talking rubbish, bro. We need to offload Sanchez. Otherwise, negotiate with him, let him take a pay cut, at least reduce it to about 200,000 a week, which I don't think Sanchez will agree to, because his life is obviously run on him getting paid 400 million. But if he's willing to take the 200,000 pay cut, then it's fine. Keep him there. He'd be a good impact player. Do you understand?